and welcome to my food and fitness class. Today's topic is the best foods to get healthy and to stay fit. I very much appreciate your attending. My name is Andrea and I'll be guiding you through today's class. So I'm always curious, how did you hear about today's class and where are you tuning in from? If you can, please let me know in the comments. This just gives me an idea of how our community is growing throughout the world. And I very much appreciate you sharing. So a little bit about me. I'm in Maryland on the East Coast of the United States, and I'm a wife and mother of 4. Each day, my family and I, we live with 12 healthy habits in order to enjoy a better quality of life and to support the success of all that God calls us to do. And because these habits have been so transformative to our lives, I do my best to share guidance on how to both implement and stick with each of these healthy habits so that we can all live truly thriving lives together. I'll share more about the other classes and videos and workbooks and support groups that I offer throughout the week, but for now, I do want to go ahead and jump right into today's class. So while we're together today, we'll be learning about which foods to avoid and why, which foods to eat and why, and about the ideal eating times and portions. We're going to learn how to eat in a way that can help you to lose weight, to maintain a healthy weight, to build muscle, and to burn that belly fat. We'll also take time to look into how to prevent and reverse common comorbidities such as heart disease, diabetes, cancer, high blood pressure, and kidney disease. And we're going to do our best to learn how to clear up eczema, seasonal allergies, acne, irritable bowel syndrome, I.B.S. and other digestive issues, and brain fog and headaches. Food. Food. Food can be our fuel or it can be our poison. So you have to ask yourself, do you want to live to eat or do you want to eat to live? Let's take a look at the foods and the eating habits that can help us to eat to live. And we'll see how they help us to enjoy abundant health. So excess weight is caused by excess fats, empty carbs, and sugar. So it's best to avoid processed foods and to avoid adding the sugars and the oils and the fats to your foods. And it's a very good idea to eat simple whole fruits and veggies and whole grains and legumes to maintain a healthy weight. We can build muscle by eating lots of healthy proteins and carbs from whole food sources is best though. So we've seen the protein ways, but from whole food sources is really best. And when I say whole foods, I mean eating literally, crunch the whole actual food, not a powdered version of the food. It's the whole thing. All right, so then there's belly fat. That's caused by some of those same excess fats and sugars, which kind of store themselves up as fat. So we can avoid these extra sugars and fats that are going to store up. But a really good tip is to drink diluted apple cider vinegar right before bed. Now this speeds up our metabolism and helps to specifically burn belly fat exceptionally well. So an important tip though, this has to be diluted, otherwise it can be burning to the esophagus. So you have to dilute it about 1 tablespoon to 16 ounces of water. Also another thing, just make sure that you're not brushing right after because it can soften the enamel of our teeth. So just do your best to just swish water right after. So let's move on to some of those comorbidities. So heart disease. Rumor has it that heart disease is caused by anything from cholesterol and saturated fats to sugar and stress. There's a lot of different reasons, a lot of different things people are saying, but really, why not avoid them all? Since only animal products like meat, dairy, and eggs have cholesterol, it's a great idea to just eat mostly plants to dodge that bullet. Then you can also avoid the processed foods that are unnecessarily high in saturated fats. And again, it's good to avoid adding any of those things to your food as well. As far as the stress portion of it, it's good to limit your exposure to stressful places, people, movies, and so on. So then you want to embrace new ways to manage your stress and your emotions, which I have workshops for that as well. So yeah, simple whole food plants and stay stress-free to avoid heart disease. All right, so diabetes. Too much sugar can lead to insulin ineffectiveness or resistance. In other words, diabetes. So it's good to avoid excessive sugars, and when you have that taste for something sweet, just do your best to eat some whole fruits to avoid diabetes. All right, then there's cancer. So cancer can be caused by various food preservatives, other environmental toxins, and things that can trigger the growth of cancerous cells. So it can also be caused by the sun's UV rays and man-made sources of radiation. And it actually can be risky to eat excessive carbon from charred foods. So it's best to avoid long-term direct sun exposure, preservatives, chemical-laden or charred foods, and instead to just cover up with longer clothes to protect your skin and to eat organic foods to avoid cancer. So high blood pressure is often caused by excessive fats, salts, and stress. So it's good to avoid processed foods, which have all those things in that, except for obviously the stress. And it's best to avoid adding those things, that salt and that fat, into your foods via like oil, etc. You want to make sure that you're also limiting your exposure to those stressful people, movies, places, etc. And that you're embracing new ways to manage your stress and your emotions. It's also good to eat those whole plant foods here and to stay stress-free so that you can avoid the high blood pressure. Kidney disease is often caused by a combination of diabetes and high blood pressure. So again, with those, avoid the salt, fat, sugar, and the stress, and make sure you're eating those whole plant foods and staying stress-free so that you can avoid kidney disease. Then there's those nuisances that we want to clear up, like eczema, allergies, and so on. So eczema. Eczema is an immune response to certain foods or environmental sources, usually things like dairy or legumes or eggs. So in a way, like a type of food allergy type of response. So the foods often get in the bloodstream and into the skin because of something called leaky gut syndrome, which is often caused by wheat. So then, after doing an elimination diet or an allergy test so you can find out what's causing the reaction, be sure to avoid those foods that cause the reaction. And then it would be a good idea to enjoy a gluten-free diet and everything else that is safe and allergy-friendly to eat so that you can keep your skin clear of eczema. All right, seasonal allergies. They're often caused by antibodies which are produced in our bodies. Eating dairy can actually raise the histamine levels and make seasonal allergies worse. Dairy also produces excessive mucus, making for more complications. So it would be a good idea to avoid dairy and even also those dairy substitutes because they're often really high in saturated fats anyway. So it's a good idea to eat a dairy-free diet and to enjoy nutritional yeast for a cheesy flavor to make your seasonal allergies far milder or even non-existent. All right, so acne. Since acne is usually triggered by highly processed foods and other foods that are high in salt, oil, and sugar, it's best to avoid such ingredients and eat a simple whole plant diet. As far as irritable bowel syndrome and other digestive issues, these are often caused by various foods that might aggravate different parts of our digestive system. So after doing an elimination diet and pinpointing which foods are causing the digestive issues, be sure to avoid those foods, plan a plain plant foods diet that has the low acidity, the low gassy foods, whatever is necessary for you that are safe and comfortable to eat so you can avoid those digestive issues. And brain fog and headaches is often caused by processed foods, sometimes excessive salt, and yes, even the gluten. So then avoid the processed foods that are unnecessarily high in saturated fats, avoid adding the salt and the fat to your food, and avoid gluten. So basically, again, that means enjoying that gluten-free diet with whole plant foods so that you can be free of the headaches and be able to be free of the brain fog. Remember, food can be our fuel or it can be our poison. So avoid foods like processed foods, preservatives, chemical-laden foods, gluten, meat, dairy, wheat, added oils and sugars, because as I'm sure you noticed, they're the common culprits that are causing all sorts of complications. To eat to live, eat whole fruits, whole vegetables, whole grains like quinoa, rice, and oatmeal, legumes like seeds, nuts, beans, and lentils, and get organic whenever you can to avoid any unnecessary chemicals and preservatives. So whenever you eat mostly plants, you can eat whatever you want, whenever you want, of course within reason. You don't want to overstuff yourself, but really there's not really a big difference of when you eat or how much you eat. So as far as ideal eating times, when you eat mostly plants, you can eat within reason whenever you want. And as far as the ideal portions, when you eat mostly plants, you can eat within reason as much as you want. So there it is. The choice is yours. Are you going to live to eat? Or are you going to eat to live? So you may have noticed that I said earlier that my family and I, we live with 12 healthy habits in order to enjoy a better quality of life. So then healthy food and fitness is just one of the 12. We embrace all these healthy habits so that we can have less bad habits to sabotage our efforts to obey God and more good habits to support our success as we aim to do all that Yahweh called us to do. For all these healthy habits, I offer guidance via videos and workbooks and classes and support groups to help you implement and stick with each of these habits. So if you could use more tips on eating these healthy whole plant foods, any recipes, etc., or if you need guidance on any of these healthy habits, I'm here to guide you, and you can find more details on my website, which is trulythrivinglives.org. All right, so I'd love to know, how did you enjoy today's class, and what questions do you have for me? If you'd like, you can let me know in the comments below, or you can save your questions for a support group or for coaching. Either way, I very much look forward to supporting you along your journey. Thank you again for attending, and I hope that you have a blessed day.